Total carnage, my friends. What absolute chaos in the market today. And what a beautiful sight for those of you who have been in my private Telegram and following along in these live streams. Because, guys, I did lay out this exact trade setup in real time in the Telegram and live streamed about it shortly after. And although I never expected this move to play out in a single day, we caught the entire range move to the downside. And I was actually talking about the possibility of a rejection between that 125 to 127K about 2 or 3 weeks ago in advance already. So it was very easy to keep a level head and position ourselves for this move before it happened. And that's the important part, because people who were trying to catch it after the move had already sparked. I mean, it got very volatile and very hard to play that with a level head. So that's why we plan ahead, guys. It's not even so much that I was bearish when I opened my short. It was just looking at resistance for what it is and just playing the charts for what they are with a very level head with no emotions attached. Obviously, now it's a little late to start shorting right into support of the macro range. However, truth be told, I have some very serious concerns. Not all hope is lost at this point, as we've seen a very nice bounce so far, but I have some very, very serious concerns with what the chart has actually printed for us here. So with that, let's dive in, guys. I mean, I've been saying for a long time now, as I just mentioned, I was warning about that 125 to 127. Well, 127.2K is actually the level that I was watching for. And as a typical Stuber fib setup, that's the thing. There was nothing magical here. I was just looking at the swing fail range between my 1 and 115 for a basic fib pull, right? There was nothing crazy here. I had no insider information. I didn't know Trump was going to be tariffing the hell out of China. I didn't know any of that. I was straight up playing the chart with no emotions attached, you guys. So I like to trade the charts. I don't like to trade fundamentals and trade tweets and that sort of thing. I just like to look at the charts for what they are. And a lot of people were saying that I was crazy for wanting to short as we're at all-time highs. But that's exactly it. I would way rather be a seller and shorting, as I've said in my last several streams, you guys. I would way rather be a seller at resistance, just like I was a buyer down at support. Now, at this point, I have concerns about this because of where we're at in the market cycle and because some of my broader theories about what could be happening. So I'm not interested in taking a long yet. I'm not interested in trying to catch a knife here. The thing is, there's a lot of people who did manage to catch this knife. Congratulations if you did, but realistically, most people who were trying to catch that ended up losing the same trade 10 times over the whole way down, just getting liquidated or getting stopped out and trying the next one, trying the next one, trying the next one. And I'm actually going to show you on the shorter time frames why that was such a bad idea, and why I always like to look for those structure breaks even on lower time frames and looking for those retests before YOLOing into a position, basically. So even if we've bottomed here, I still think it's very possible that we end up coming a little bit lower. And I actually have reasons why I think that, you know, we might not necessarily have bottomed yet. This might just be a violent reaction. It's absolutely possible that was capitulation. We could wick this whole thing right back up and carry on to the upside, in which case I will start looking for basically staircasing to the upside. I will be looking for higher highs and therefore confirmed higher lows and pulling bullish Stuber fibs at that point. But as it stands right now, I just don't see that reasoning yet. Just what I was talking about, guys, with where I really have concerns with what's happening in the market at this point is this is something that's been on my radar. I've been pointing this out all week, basically, of where we are at time-wise. Now, this does not need to play out the exact same, but the last couple of market cycles from bear market bottom to bull market peak, it was basically exactly 152 weeks of upside price action, just like you can see with this next cycle here. And you can see basically where, where we are at right now in this market cycle, right around that 151, 152 week period. So again, this obviously doesn't need to play out the exact same. I just don't want to be that guy who says that this cycle is different. We're breaking the 4-year cycle. It's absolutely possible. That's the thing. As traders, it's important to be open to any scenario. Just like the people who said that I was going to get wrecked by shorting resistance there and people were FOMOing long into it instead. You know, anything can happen. We just have to be ready. We have to have invalidations. We need to be ready for anything. Whenever you're taking a trade, always be ready to be wrong. Have your invalidations in place. Have risk management in mind. Don't get silly, right? So on top of that, so basically what I'm getting at here is based on time analysis, we are currently facing resistance. As far as the 4-year cycle with how long of upside we typically end up getting, we are currently at timing resistance because we are at 151, 152 weeks. On top of that, we are trying, and I mean, it's still early to say because this weekly candle will not close until Sunday, but Sunday evening, this candle will close and it's very much looking like an engulfing bearish candle is a very realistic possibility at this point. It obviously doesn't have to happen, but basically this red candle has already wicked below the lows of our previous weekly candle. So there's just very serious concerns at that point. You know, we're facing a macro resistance level with that swing fail, while the timeline, if we are going to, you know, if the trend is our friend, which typically the trend is your friend until the end, I'm very happy to say that, you know, it's possible the 4-year cycle breaks. It just hasn't yet. It's just like when we're trading into resistance. Yeah, resistance could break out, but wait for that confirmation before just trading on a gut feeling, right? So basically, as it stands right now, the bulls just need to prove themselves in the next week or two. Otherwise, I strongly fear that the 4-year cycle is still intact and we could be going into a bear market. Obviously, again, like I said, it's early to say. However, that being said, you guys, we have set a lower low. This is a macro lower low, right? We even invalidated. I'm actually going to get rid of this bearish super fib because we already know that's why the swing fail is up here. So let's actually pull a bullish fib at this point, something like so from our, because, well, just like any typical Stuber fib, right? Here was our high. We did, although it was a fake out, it was technically still a higher high, right? We went a little bit higher. That was confirming this as our higher low, and we lost that. So that is a big concern to me because that is a very serious level on a macro time frame. That's a huge range, right? So even though we got back into it, just understand that we actually broke my 115, which is typically my invalidation for those Stuber setups, those swing fail setups and everything. So even though we only broke it temporarily, that's still a big warning shot fired, in my opinion. And again, especially where we're at time-wise. This is what I was talking about with, you know, waiting for some sort of structure break. Obviously, if I don't know this position that long, obviously that beautiful long that I had for that whole swing to the upside, even that one got stopped at break, even with the remainder 10% moon bag that I had on that. That's totally fine, right? You know, that's why I hedged a short up there, and it's played out beautifully, obviously. So, yeah, but at this point, basically, let's look at this here. On the 5-minute, we haven't even broke a lower high yet. So yeah, I understand that. Hey, the price is climbing. The price is climbing. We haven't even broke a micro 5-minute structure break. And by micro, I mean, I'm considering this a low and this our lower low just because we got this little bounce here with this green candle. So this is my confirmed lower high on the 5-minute trend. Okay, guys, this isn't a 4-hour. It's not even a 1-hour, not even a 15-minute trend, a 5-minute trend. We are still not breaking that level. And in fact, where we're at right now, I'm not saying we can't. Obviously, eventually we break trends. But as it stands, all day, we have not broke a lower high structure, basically. Unfortunately, I came so close to getting another short open. I had 2 open for this whole dump here. Almost got a third one. I was telling you guys in the Telegram and actually in my last stream, or maybe it wasn't my stream, maybe it was just on the Telegram, but I had pointed out the Stuber fib last night, actually, is what it was. And we got so close up to the 786. I was saying basically we have potential for a 5-minute bearish Stuber fib here. I was looking to add another position, basically around 122.8K, but we stopped basically a few $100s shy of that and just went to absolute nuke town. So since that happened, ever since losing this low here, where's our next lower low? This would be our lower low. So therefore, this was our confirmed lower high. This is where we get our next bounce, lower low. This is now our confirmed lower high. Lower low, or sorry, actually, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. And now where we currently are, lower low, and my blue line here is our confirmed lower high. So this entire very, very violent dump to the downside, you guys, it never even broke 5-minute structure. And if that is something that interests you guys, just taking a look at more examples, how I look at market structure, how I pull my fibs, just some of my favorite trade strategies, and just trying to be the voice of reason and trading market structure for what it is rather than trading tweets and fundamentals. Do yourselves a favor, scan that QR code, get in my Telegram group. Guys, absolutely crush this. As I said, actually laid out this short in advance. I even acknowledged, you guys, that I was feeling bullish when I took this position. But just because we were at a macro resistance level, that's why I started laddering into a short. And it absolutely, I was actually trying to start this stream for damn near an hour, but the position, my short was just ripping so fast that I had to keep updating positions and taking partial profits and sharing it with my Telegram and all that sort of stuff. So it actually took me a while to get set up because this move was so insanely fast and volatile. And this short has played out absolutely fantastic. I think I only have actually about 20% of this running at this point because, I mean, we got the full range move right now. At this point, I just have, I guess I shouldn't call it a moon bag, an inverse moon bag, the abyss bag, whatever you want to call it. But basically, I still have 20% of my position running from the highs, just like what I did with my long from down here on the way up. Just kept a little bit running just in case. Because like I said, I have very serious concerns about this market structure. And if I'm not saying that it has to be a bear market right now. However, if it is, I am positioned for it. I have a position open from a good level. And, you know, that was a very tight stop loss. Guys, this is exactly, I talk about this all the time as far as looking for those swing fails. And the main reason of taking them is just because the risk reward is so nice, right? Because if we look at where my invalidation was, basically above 127.3, to where we ended up dumping here, guys, we got an 11.5 to 1 risk reward out of that move. Now, obviously, that's not the entire position because I've been taking profits along the way, but that's just one of those examples of playing the range for what it is. I mean, a massive move in our favor compared to the potential loss that we would have had there. So absolutely love those positions. And that's why I was planning ahead for it. That's why I took that position, even though I was uncomfortable, because I even said this in my last stream. Usually those positions that are most uncomfortable to take are the ones that end up playing the best. And here was a perfect example. And it's not just Bitcoin, you guys. The SPX, the S&P 500, also absolutely nuking. You can see it broke a couple levels of macro structure here on the daily time frame. We lost this range here. I know this will feel like micro analyzing, but we technically had this high. We had a higher high. This is our confirmed higher low. We lost that. If that's not good enough for you and you think that's, you know, too micro analyzing, whatever, then how about this support level that we are currently still under? Obviously, markets are closed at this point of the week. But yeah, lost some very serious structure at this point. Even bringing up the trend master on the S&P, you can see that we're starting to lose that support. So it's not just Bitcoin, you guys. It's not like there's anything crazy with Bitcoin in itself. It's that the whole market is in full panic mode right now. And I know a lot of people are going to blame that, you know, Trump escalated tariffs with China. Guys, that's fine if you need that to reassure yourself that it wasn't in the charts, even though I called it without knowing that was going to happen. And also, guys, something to consider is he's been in office all year so far. He got sworn in January. We've seen the tariffs on and off game happening for 10 months now, almost over 9 months at this point. And we have never seen a move like this out of it. So use that as, a comfort point if you need it. If that's your comfort blanket and you need to know that that's why it happened, then so be it. But it was in the charts. And like I said, we have seen the tariff game before and never getting a reaction like this. And the fact that it lines up with the time frame, there's just so many things why I think that was already in the charts. And that was basically a spark to kick things off. It was going to happen anyways, in my opinion. And we just got it. And it may have escalated the speed at which it happened. Because ever since taking the short up here, I mean, I was saying the reason I'm taking that is because it's a potentially massive move back down to the bottom of the range. And I mean, full disclosure, I did not think that was going to happen in a single day, but I gladly accept it because that just means that I was taking profits quicker. And guys, like altcoins too, I mean, for the start of the day, Aster was actually outperforming Bitcoin. It was going up while everything else was going down. But just check this out, guys. On a volatile coin like this, and this is another reason why I'm not taking longs on altcoins right now, but look at this 1 hour candle. Aster got cut basically in half in a single hour. I mean, the bears were very hungry today. The market's in full panic, full free fall. I mean, absolute carnage, you guys. Ethereum as well went absolutely nuts. Luckily, I mean, I never personally took a short on Ethereum, but I did warn you guys ahead of time. I think we were trading somewhere around here, and I said that I thought it was very possible we end up getting to my Stuber fib and see some sort of a reaction. So yes, it's more violent than I thought it was going to be, but we did find resistance where I thought we would. And as well, I was mentioning, where did that play? Okay, so it came in a little bit late, still obviously a beautiful move from there. Sorry, one sec. What kind of a move did we get after that candle close? Confirm that. So yeah, Ethereum dumped another 20% basically. But I was saying that I thought it was very possible with that rejection of the 786 that Ethereum ends up printing a lower sell signal on the MDX Trendmaster on the 4 hour. And it absolutely did. And now at this point, we have lower trending buy signals. We have lower trending sell signals. So like I said, even though a lot of things are getting a nice recovery, we're seeing a nice bounce. There's so many things telling us that the trend itself has actually shifted. And unfortunately, you guys, it doesn't look good. I'm happy to have it invalidated. I would love to see this invalidated. And all of a sudden we close, we get this weekly candle close, just turns into a big wick, and we actually close a higher weekly candle. It's still possible. I'm not holding my breath for it, but if it happens, I am here for it. I would love to see us break that 4-year cycle and go absolutely parabolic. I think that would be just fantastic. But as it stands right now, everything's just looking a little bit concerning. Oh man, I am disappointed. I never did see this one on Solana. But we obviously got the lower sell signal on Solana after it hit my bullish Stuber target, right? I've been talking about this last couple streams, hit the 214 target absolutely perfectly. And then we printed a lower sell signal. And that one did print a little bit earlier. It printed about here and got a 35% move to the downside very quickly there within a few hours, basically. Total chaos. Hype, another one. In this 4-hour candle, what are we looking at? That was it was cut in half, right? Troll dumped quite a bit. However, you guys, these levels, I've had them mapped out for quite a while, and I actually told a buddy earlier that I would be buying some Troll between 10 cents and 8 cents. Obviously, high risk. But that is one that, and I've actually mentioned this on the last couple of streams as well, that this is an altcoin that I'm willing to buy the dip on. And also I treat this is just spot trading. This is more of an investment. This is very different than me actually trading the market, right? So at this point, basically, let's just undo a few things, get rid of some beautiful things here. Okay, let's get back to the 5-minute chart on Bitcoin here, you guys. Like I said, the 5-minute, we still have not broke a lower high. And in fact, look where we're trading right now, you guys. We are right in that fib pocket. So if anything, I would be looking at this as a short opportunity on this bounce more than anything. Not to say it can't break, right? We can absolutely break through this resistance. But at this point in this downtrend, the trend is your friend until the end. And we have not broke this 5-minute downtrend all day through this total chaos. So something to consider there. I do just want to check the chat real quick. Love to see you guys here. Nice. We have about 40 people watching. I hope you're all doing okay. I mean, I know that I kind of make light of the situation because I was so prepared for this, you guys. And that's the thing. That's why, even though, yeah, my portfolio is taking a bit of a shit kicking just like everybody else's, but since I did see this forming, I did sell some of my Ethereum. I also positioned myself for that short to hedge against the market. So it's been, I've been loving this volatility. It is just fantastic, you guys. And another thing I was mentioning was on this chart on the MDX ALGO dashboard. We actually have retail long and short down here as an indicator. And I was warning that as we were dropping after getting our resistance test, we could see that retail was starting to aggressively try and buy the dip. And I said, if that continues climbing, I really think that that's going to be fuel for the fire that will push my short to the downside. And we absolutely got it. At this point, retail is still climbing to the long side. We're going to have to see how that refreshes later today at the daily close. This should refresh and maybe retail gets spooked and starts shorting late. But I have a feeling a lot of people are in a panic trying to buy this dip. So if that's the case, we could see some further downside, but we'll see. Obviously, the market is going to be extremely volatile because we have created some massive ranges, even on the lower time frames. So be very careful out there, my friends. It is so dangerous and volatile right now if you're not already positioned. As I was talking about 5-minute resistance, I mean, you can see here that we do have this blue line right above us, right at my 886. So just a little bit of added confluence of resistance. Basically where we're at right now, up to where the confirmed lower high is around 115K. The 115 fib is above 117K. So above that, that's basically above 117.3K or so. I would start to think that, hey, you know, maybe we have some legs, or at that point, I would at least be interested in longing some sort of a retest if we ended up, you know, doing this, breaking our lower high and then coming back down to our support. At that point, I would be willing to look for some sort of a long position. But at this point, we haven't even broke microstructure. So I'm just not interested at this point. Do want to catch up on the chat a little bit here. I hope you're all trading better than I am. Oh no, Hurley, I thought you were in a short. It's man, it's volatile times. It's hard out there. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, there's a little bit of luck on my side when I took that, but it was just looking at it for the swing fail that it was. Like I said a few times already, I did not expect this move to happen in a single day. That was volatility that we have not seen in ages in this market. So yeah, I can see how that the nicest way I can put it is that fucked with a lot of people, unfortunately. So I hope you're all doing okay. I hope you're trying to survive there through this market. There are two guys Red Panda says there are two guys I listen to for the market long-term. Ben Cowan, I forget how you pronounce it, but I agree. He does lay out some nice analysis. Trade short-term Stu, and that's it. Well, I appreciate it. I love that I'm on there on your radar, because as such a small following that I have, right? I mean, I'm convinced that generally speaking, whoever has the largest audiences, that's more because of the clickbait. And I feel like there's a lot of the players, a lot of the traders with the bigger followings can't necessarily trade anymore because they maybe made their fortune earlier and then stopped trading and, you know, have a harder time adapting. That's just my theory. But yeah, guys, if you do appreciate, you know, everything that I've been warning you guys about, and you appreciate these live streams and some of my favorite trade strategies, please do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, because Guys, very small channel at this point, just over 300 followers. Obviously a very new channel since this is my new live streaming channel. But yeah, those likes go a long way on such a new channel like this. And we've been absolutely crushing it. So like I said, if you do appreciate it, do me a favor, hit that like button. And guys, for those of you who do want more insights, more examples of how I trade market structure, pull my fibs, look at my indicators, just some of my favorite trade strategies, how I'm looking at the market in general, trying to be the voice of reason. Do yourselves a favor, scan that QR code. Like I said, this short was laid out in advance, called it live, played out absolutely beautifully. And also, you guys, my partners at BloFin are currently giving my followers this basically launch promotion for my new YouTube channel. So just a bit of a nice deposit and trading volume bonus that is active for about 10 more days. So if that is something that interests you, that is available to everybody in my Telegram. Everybody who has signed up to BloFin under me, that is your current promo. Yeah, what are we basically, guys? That is the majority of what I wanted to go over. I just really wanted to do a quick live stream because I know that I know it's getting late for a lot of people. I know it's probably evening for most of you guys. It's still, middle of the afternoon for me. But I do really appreciate having you guys here. Thank you so much for being here with me. I do want to catch up on the chat before I do anything here. Habu says, hope people were away from leverage. Not me. I'm in the 50x leverage, brother. 50x short, but only because I had laddered entries towards my invalidation and I understand proper risk management, right? I would not advise new traders to be using high leverage or honestly leverage at all when the market is this volatile. Plumbus, good to see you here. What happens on Monday? Open the Dow, S&P, and the NASDAQ. Yeah, we're going to have to see what happens with that. Obviously, it's possible we just reverse and set new highs, but at this point, I have very serious concerns about the market in general. Is Plumbus the Plumbus from Rick and Morty? That's honestly exactly what I was thinking. That's funny. Jarek says, insane dump. Thanks for keeping a cool head, Stu. Man, thank you for, appreciating the level-headed approach, because I really try hard not to give you the clickbait and that sort of thing. I really try and be the voice of reason in this market because, man, emotions are flip-flopping like crazy lately. Yeah, Crypto Jacker, they all pooed the bed. Absolutely. Cali Trader, Stu, are you going to upload the old tutorial video you had in the other channel? I believe it is already. I thought it was in here somewhere. It's definitely pinned to my Telegram channel still. I will have to look into that. If it's not, it will be next week. But I'm pretty sure it is. He leads with a stick, then feeds them the carrot. Absolutely epic stuff. Well, thank you. Thank you. If you guys do appreciate it, that thumbs up goes a long way. And, I'll keep bringing you these analysis videos. I agree, Red Panda. Unfortunately, or fortunately, small channels are the most underrated. I agree, because usually the small channels are the ones who still have to prove themselves and they haven't got sucked into that clickbait funnel yet. And I agree. I will take smaller channels more seriously, honestly, when it comes to trading, as long as their analysis makes sense, obviously. But yeah, I agree. VBT ACD, I got lucky and had my short position in weeks ago after all-time highs were hit. My TPs were also hit. Nice. Congratulations. Love it. Love to see that. I'm not the only one. BTC man 101,450 on Binance. Holy, yeah, that is crazy. What did we get to? Yeah, we got to 101,521 on BloFin. Yeah, absolutely crazy, you guys. That even just that last 10 minutes basically of downside was absolutely crazy. What did we get there? We ended up getting from top to bottom there. We got a 10% move in 10 minutes, guys. That is huge volatility for Bitcoin. For altcoins, totally different, totally reasonable. On Bitcoin, that is a crazy move. Absolutely crazy. On the 4-hour BTC, would I consider it a 3 aligned top? I actually did have that mapped out for a while as well. It wasn't perfect, but it was very close. That was another reason why I was bearish in that red pocket of mine, that swing fail zone, was because we had more confluence if we would have went a little bit higher, and I had more entries a little bit higher. I had an entry at this white line. I had an entry right at the top of my red box. Unfortunately, never hit those, but either way, beautiful trade. I was ready for it either way. But I assume that's the one you're talking about, Red Panda. And yeah, very close. I like them to be exact touch points, so I don't like to draw it like this personally, just because this one isn't quite perfect. That is just me being very picky with diagonal trend lines, just because how I've always used them. But yeah, I totally see what you're going for there. Fart coins low at below 10 cents. Wow, crazy. I thought I saw it at like what, 60, 70 cents earlier today, something like that. Stu, what are you thinking of a higher low here when Asia wakes up? Yeah, we're going to have to see. At this point, basically, I need to see something form on the lower time frame. I think it's quite likely we end up retesting the lows here at some point. Very possible we don't, right? Maybe the people who never caught that knife, maybe we get left behind and we have to wait for new structure to form or whatever. I'm going to be using the trend master to try and spot an early reversal of something like that if we start printing higher buy signals on the 5-minute, for example. But yeah, at this point, I would need to see some sort of a pullback, a typical Stuber fib, something like this. But honestly, we don't even have that yet, right? Because we still need to break the lower high on the trend, and that's a very micro lower high there, but I need to break at least that level and then pull back, and I would be considering starting to ladder into some longs at support or looking for some sort of strength down there. But we're gonna have to see if we get that, basically. It is because of you that I had my shorts in, Stu. I've been using the Stuber fibs for a few months on low leverage. Thanks for all that you do. Matt, that is awesome. Thank you for that testimony. I love to hear that people are getting better at trading using some of my strategies that I show. And guys, that's a perfect example. Like I said, if you do want even more examples, obviously I'm showing them on these live streams almost every day lately. But if you want to see more examples of pulling the fibs and how I look at structure, do yourselves a favor, get in that Telegram group. QR code on the screen, and there should be a link in the description as well. After the street went to sleep, the whales took the wheel and used that limbo time between sessions. Yeah, yeah, they sure grabbed that wheel, all right. Hungry Hobo, good to see you here, my friend. BTC has never dipped so bad on Binance. Never dipped at so bad on Binance. Stopped at about 110K. Dot and Link got wrecked too. Yeah, there. So many things went absolutely nuts. Like I said, Aster lost 50% in a single hourly candle. Absolutely nuts. Crazy volatility. And that's, again, guys, just like I said earlier, a lot of people are blaming that. Yeah, there was tariff escalations with Trump and China and that sort of things. Guys, again, we've been playing the tariff game for over 9 months at this point. And we have not seen a reaction like that. So blame the news, blame the fundamentals, blame tweets, blame whatever if you have to, but it was in the charts. And there is literally people in the chat right now talking about, taking that same short that I was talking about because either my signal or the fact that they were looking at fibs the same way as me, right? So it's just market structure doing market structure, if you ask me. Just been practicing the Stuber fibs and trying to remove emotions from all my trades with low leverage and positions before scaling and with much more risk. And that's 100% what you should be doing. Honestly, the way I see it, before ever trading a strategy, I mean, what works for me might not work for you, right? So before putting any actual money on trade setups and stuff like that, you should always do your own back testing and make sure you're looking at things properly, and that the setup that you're looking at, thinking that's how I would look at it, making sure that your probabilities are kind of lining up the same, that typically it does work out for you, right? So back testing using the replay feature on TradingView, very handy. I know when I was earlier to trading, I used to back test probably 4 or 5 hours a week. I would go and just put, go back to random spots in the chart and go and just back test 3 or 4 years of data on whatever time frame that I want to trade, so that you have lots of examples and just kind of know my mathematical probabilities and that sort of stuff. So back testing, very important. Or at the very least, like you said, using proper risk management, starting very small, not just being like, hey, Stu said he's bearish here, I'm going to go all in with a stupid amount of leverage, right? Don't do that, please. Brian, good to see you here, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Wrecked but not ruined. That's the main thing. Risk management is key in these volatile times. Yeah, right now it gets very, very hard to enter a new position at this point. Honestly, it's so volatile. That's another thing, guys. I know I always talk about it when talking about Aster. When things are more volatile than they look, and these ranges are significantly bigger than they look, sometimes you need to ask yourself, how big is my invalidation, right? Let's say you were looking at a short here and you're looking at, this is just theoretical, this isn't a short I'm taking, but let's just say it's something like that. Well, if your invalidation is 2% away, you can't exactly be going in with 100x leverage, right? So you should always know how far away your invalidation is before taking a trade, and always know how much money you're going to lose if the trade goes against you. You should always assume, well, I myself anyways, whenever I take a trade, I assume that it's going to be a loss, just so that I don't throw risk management out the window, right? Use proper bankroll management and proper leverage amounts. Basically, I use high leverage. Typically, like the trade that I'm in right now, I am on 50x, right? My short was on 50x right from the get-go, but I have a good understanding of bankroll management. It's not like I was throwing half my account or my entire account into that trade, anything like that. So definitely don't recommend using high leverage for new traders until you have a good grasp of that sort of thing. Yeah, a true deleverage move. All is clean now. A lot of people burned up. Absolutely. Maz just doesn't think the top is in, and see, that's fine, right? If it isn't, then at least pulled some profits on this position already. But I just don't want to assume this cycle will be different than the last couple until it actually breaks, right? So rather than, just to keep my gut feeling out of things and just waiting for that to happen. Because the thing is, and I mentioned this yesterday or the day before, or whatever, basically what happened with Bitcoin in that swing fail zone, all it had to do to invalidate my theory and make me shut up about my bearish theories was go 1% higher. So it's not that I would have missed the entire bull market if we went parabolic from there. I was totally okay to miss that move of another percent. Let's say even from the entry, we'll say 1.5 to 2%. I was totally okay missing that if it meant the whole 4-year cycle was going to be invalidated and we were going to go parabolic to the upside. That would have been totally fine. That's why invalidations are in place. One thing that I wanted to bring up, guys, I'm actually going to bring up a new chart just so I can obliterate everything off of this, remove all my drawings. Something else that I mentioned in my last stream that I think was very important is I was talking about these liquidation levels that we're starting to build, and that how we started building so much to the downside. And specifically, I was even talking in my last stream about this liquidity down here below these lows, which would actually line up with the double bottom here, basically. And notice we grabbed all of that high leverage liquidity, right? So at this point, yeah, it makes sense we get a bounce. We grabbed all the aggressive liquidation levels, just like we saw here, right? When we started, we caught most of our liquidations to the downside. We start printing a whole bunch of these yellow and gold bars above us. Notice that the price follows that, grabbing that liquidity. Could have went even a little bit higher there, but whatever. We started building enough to the downside that the market makers wanted that and to retest that support, right? Then we got all that liquidity building up to the upside. That pushed the price to the upside, and we went and grabbed all that. Then we started forming liquidity to the downside. And that lined up with my theory that, retail was starting to trying to long the dip. We were getting a swing fail rejection at macro resistance. And we had that liquidity down there. So that was another thing that was on my radar, why I said that it was absolutely possible that we end up dumping back down to these levels. Not that we had to, but it was possible. And now we are starting to form a little bit of liquidity to the upside. So yeah, maybe we retest the highs yet, right? We're going to have to see what happens from here. Like I said, right now, a fairly tight invalidation setup as far as looking for a short. It's risky. Eventually, this downtrend is going to reverse, right? But we still haven't even broken this micro lower high on the 5-minute, as I was mentioning. Currently struggling right around the 886. So I might even ladder into, you know what? I am going to ladder into another small short. I obviously still have my main one. But I'm willing to try and play this downtrend a little bit more here. So I am going to add one there. And that being said, guys, I think that's about where I'm going to end off here. That's about all I wanted to go over. Just a quick live stream going over the total carnage in the market today. So hopefully you guys found this stream useful. If so, please be sure to hit that like button. It goes a long way for the new channel's algorithm, and subscribe so you don't miss these live streams if you haven't already. And as mentioned, if you want access to my private Telegram channel where I share some of my favorite trading strategies, trade setup ideas, how I look at market structure, just how I'm viewing the market in general, do yourselves a favor, scan that QR code, get in there. And as mentioned, my partners at BloFin also currently running this promotion due to the launch of my new channel here. So if that interests you, be sure to take advantage of that. Ends October 20th for that promo. So with that, my friends, thank you so much for being here with me once again today. I hope you found this stream useful. I hope you're surviving this total chaos in the market right now. And I will hopefully be back for another tomorrow. With that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends.